Hi everyone, and welcome to Middle Grade March. I'm so excited to be able to film outside today. It's 55 degrees out here, so I'm gonna try and film this video outside because it's finally getting to be warm in spring and it is March. So yay, Middle Grade March. I attended 2 book clubs this March and I am going to tell you about them in this video, so stay tuned. All right, so hello and welcome to Book Talks with Miss Thomas. I'm Miss Thomas. If you're new here and you like to talk about books and hear about different books, then please subscribe. If you're a returning visitor, welcome back. This month, if you saw my short, I did my short on Pony. So I'm definitely going to talk about Pony. That is one that is the middle grade March pick, and it was picked, I believe, by Krista at BooksAndJams, and she's going to be hosting a discussion about it, and I can't wait to attend that discussion. I haven't yet attended, so I'm going to save Pony for the second half of this video, and I'm going to first talk about The Railway Children by Nesbit. And The Railway Children was the book club pick this month for the Kindred Spirits Club, sponsored by Howe. And I will put her channel information down below. Howe is a lovely booktuber. She does wonderful books and just like very gentle, nothing objectionable kind of books. And I love that about her channel. When she created the Kindred Spirits Club with gentle domestic style books, I signed up right away and I'm enjoying her club immensely. So I'm going to start off with The Railway Children by Nesbit, and I am going to tell you it says in my book that the copyright is... It said something like, oh, here it is. It says 1987, but that must be the reprint copyright, because as I was reading this, I thought, you know, there's so many references to things from a long time ago, and the language, the way people talk, it's charming and lovely, but it's not the language that we use today necessarily. Like they talk about being jolly, you know, for example, and it's just, I really got a kick out of it. But I was thinking as I was reading it, what year is this written? And so I looked, and it looked like it was written in 1908, I believe. I'll correct it in the on the screen if I'm wrong. And I got like a collector's edition that I ordered from Amazon, and it's really so sweet and charming. I want to show you. Mine came with some pictures. And here's a picture of the mother. The children go outside and they fall asleep on the hill, and it's a beautiful sunshiny day. And so then there's a picture, and they take a quote from the text. She found them deeply asleep. And then there's another picture, and this one is one of my favorites. It's, I think it was Phyllis who ran to the train and gave a note to I think they call him the old man. And it's just a very sweet illustration. And then down below it says, "Here, take it." So let me give you a little background, because I'm jumping ahead of myself. I'm telling you about these pictures. It would help if you knew about the book. Okay, so The Railway Children is the story of 3 children. It's Peter's the oldest, and then Roberta, they call her Bobby, and Phyllis, they call her Phil. And I wondered, you know, if there was some sort of reason that the 2 girls were named Bobby and Phil. I'm not really sure if that was just a charming thing or if there was a statement there. When we had a book club discussion, there was a discussion about some of the characters in the books were named after some of Nesbit's lovers. So I suspect that's why they have names that you know, are typically associated with boys. But Bobby and Phil are the 2 girls in the book, and then Peter is the oldest brother. And they're living pretty comfortably with their parents when some men come and take the father away, and the children don't know exactly where the father has gone or why the father has disappeared, but the mother relocates them to the countryside. And so they live in this house on the countryside. And even though it's not as fancy or as luxurious or comfortable, they live quite happily. And the children amuse themselves by going down to the train station. There's a lot of references to coal too. That was another thing when I was reading it, and I was thinking, this is not recent. Coal is very valuable in the book. And Peter actually at one point borrows some coal, and so that becomes kind of a thing. So I was thinking, what year is this? But anyway, it's just very sweet, and they're living in the countryside. And this one illustration I started to show you, I believe it is of Phyllis giving a note to a man in the train, because the children like to go to the train and wave at the people. That's just how they amuse themselves. And this is a sweet letter. In the picture, she's giving a letter. And here's what the letter says. Dear Mr. We do not know your name. Mother is very ill, and the doctor says to give her the things at the end of the letter, but she says she can't afford it, and to get mutton for us, and she will have broth. We do not know anybody here but you, because Father is away, and we do not know the address. Father will pay you, or if he has lost all of his money or anything, Peter will pay you. That's the older brother, when he is a man. We promise on our honor, IOU for all the things Mother wants. Signed, Peter. And then it says, will you give the parcel to the station master because of us not knowing what train you come by? Say it is for Peter that was sorry about the coals, and he will know all right, because Peter, nicked some coals. He stole some coals, and he got caught. So that's the station master. They got to know the station master because he caught Peter stealing the coals, but then he forgave them and they became friends, and the children hang out at the railway station. And so it's called The Railway Children, and it's just very sweet. Then there's just various adventures in the book. And one adventure is when this man comes off the train and no one can understand him. And they figure out that he speaks French, but come to find out he's actually Russian. And so they take the Russian in to live with them because he's very sick and they need to nurse him back to health. And so here's an illustration of the Russian man outside in the garden with Mother. And the caption reads, only corrected proofs as she sat in the sun near the Russian. So the mother, by the way, is a writer. So she's sitting there going through, I guess, the things that she writes. She writes beautiful stories, and she writes funny little poems for the children. That's very sweet too. The children make friends with a man on the train named Perks. And Perks is their friend that he works on the train, and he's a grown man with his own wife, but the children come and visit him, and they just have this unique little friendship. And when the Russian is speaking French, I guess, on the train, and they take him back to their house, and Mother takes care of the Russian, Perks is mad because the children didn't come back and tell him what was going on, who the Russian was, and why he was staying with them. And so the children have been very busy at home. They haven't been back to visit the people on the train station, at the train station for a few days. And so when they do go, Perks is being kind of sullen and mad because the children haven't come to visit him every day and they haven't been telling him what's been going on with the Russian. And so there's this adorable little illustration where the children go to visit Perks, and he's reading the newspaper, and he said, highly honored, I'm sure, he said, highly honored, but he does talk in a dialect. And so the children, they were so upset because they realized they had hurt Perks's feelings. And, they're just children. They didn't know that would hurt his feelings. And so then they beg his forgiveness and tell him, the story of the Russian and fill him in on all the gossip, I guess, if you want to call it that. It's not really gossip, but fill him in on the news going on because he felt left out. So their friend Perks is a sweet little friend they made at the train station. And then they also make friends, of course, with the Russian and the older gentleman that they write notes to. that they wrote the note to get the medical supplies for their mother. And then there's one other picture. They made friends with the doctor, the community doctor, and he comes and nurses people back to health at like a sliding scale of price. He needs money himself, but he tries to help other people with their medical needs at a discount whenever he can. So I highly recommend The Railway Children. It was a very sweet book, and it's a book that's appropriate for anyone of any age. There was nothing objectionable in it, and it was just very, very sweet and gentle for the Gentle Book Club, the Kindred Spirit Book Club, for gentle reading. So it was a nice book. And then the book of the month, the Middle March book that's been announced as the Middle March book is Pony by the same author of Wonder, RJ Palacio, I think. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And this was fascinating to me because the same author who wrote Wonder wrote this, and this is to me it's historical fiction, but I read the author's note, and she does say in the back of the book that she doesn't quite qualify it as historical fiction, but she definitely did a lot of research, and it felt very, very real and vivid to me. It takes place in the early 1800s, and it tells the story of Silas, who is a young boy. I think he's about 12. And he's living with his father, who is just this brilliant, brilliant man. And Silas loves his father so very much. And his father educates him and teaches him to read. And they do this project together where they want to photograph the moon. And that was my favorite passage in the book, when he and his father were they were preparing to photograph the moon. And they did so much work, and they had to have a special microscope, and it was just such a touching passage, father and son working side by side on a project. But anyway, Silas is living with his father. His mother died when she was giving birth to Silas, so she died in childbirth, giving birth to Silas. And so Silas and his father lived together in a pretty removed area, like I'm picturing like an old farmhouse, pretty removed from other people, when these men come on horseback in the middle of the night and they take the father away, and they don't say why. And they were going to take Silas too. The only reason that the father agreed to go was because they let Silas stay behind, and they promised that they would release the father in a week. But of course, that wasn't really what their plan was. They were taking the father to make counterfeit money, because this is like the 1800s, and they wanted some counterfeit bills. And they knew that the father was very, very, very smart, and he created this special kind of chemical mix to make particular photographs, to develop pictures. And so they wanted him to make counterfeit bills for them. Silas finds this out later in the book, but it's not a spoiler. And so Silas, he is devastated because his father's gone, and he has this friend named Mittenwool who keeps him company. Now, Mittenwool is, he doesn't like to be called a ghost, but he's not like a physical, visible presence to anyone but Silas. So the father referred to him as an imaginary friend, Silas says at one point in the book, and Silas calls him a ghost a few times, but that offends Mittenwool. But Mittenwool is this friend that no one else can see and hear except for Silas, and he keeps Silas company throughout the book. Now, the next morning after the father is taken, this pony shows up at Silas's front door. And so Silas thinks that, that's the pony from last night that was with the group of people that took his father. And so he feels in his bones that he is destined to get on the pony, and the pony is going to take him to his father. So he journeys through all these things and all these places in order to find his father. And there are some tremendous dangers that he encounters in the book, and there are some beautiful friendships that he makes along the way. So I definitely really recommend Pony as well. I thought it was a very lovely book. I thought it was nice because, you know, again, this is written as a middle grade book, but I enjoyed it. I read it in 2 sittings. So, you know, I come home from work kind of stressed out and tired. So I curl up with a good book and it relaxes me. And so 2 evenings and I finished Pony. I really think it was an enjoyable read. So those are the 2 March middle grade books that I want to recommend to you. I hope you're out there enjoying the sunshine and reading some good books, and I will talk to you soon. In my next video, I'm going to feature another booktuber. I'm really getting into these books recommended by booktubers, so I might even make April a month of booktubers made me read it, because I have quite a few that I've read that I want to talk about next month. So I look forward to telling you about those soon. Bye for now.